What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are looking at a couple awesome blasters that I finally finished building. It's been a while. These parts have been around for a minute, but cannot wait to show you guys these blasters because they are very different on the outside, but very similar on the inside. So we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna tell you what this is all about, and we're gonna test these babies out. Let's go. Okay, you guys, so this Kriss Vector replica is pretty darn sweet. Obviously, it is a Nerf blaster. It uses angled Talon mags with half-length darts, obviously, which is another thing that I pretty much have gone strictly to half-length darts. So most of the things you see on this channel that are in my arsenal are half-length. Every now and then I'll review something full length, but yeah, this is a half-length dart blaster that uses angled talons, and it's awesome, you guys. It went together so nicely. Before I get really into gushing over this blaster too much, I want to kind of go over exactly what we have going on internally, and then who did the external kit for this blaster along with the Quik. And this may be old news to some of you guys, but Old Fusion Design created a Flycore, is what he's calling it, and this is obviously an unassembled one, but this is the main part. This is a straight talon version, and the ones I have in here are both angled talon versions, but they basically allow you to build any kind of blaster around this right here, and that's really cool. So we get stuff like this. So that's pretty awesome. I know there's been a handful of designs done around this. There may be over a handful, I don't know, but I think I know of like 4 different designs, at least off the top of my head, that's been designed around this. So I'm hoping to see a lot more, and I'm sure there will be. But one of the coolest things about this is you can create it around any flywheel spacing that you want. So you can use micro flywheels, you can use hurricane wheels, pulsar wheels, or you can use full-size wheels even. That's right, Banned Blaster wheels, and that's what I have in both of these blasters. So first time using those wheels, actually. I've been shot with them a lot, so it's exciting to actually throw them into a build and use them for a first time. So I can't wait to kind of put these over the chronograph and see what kind of performance we're getting, because it should be around 200 FPS, hopefully. May not be quite there yet because I don't know if I have enough foam buildup, but it should be close. Nevertheless, I think this is a really cool thing. It is a full auto blaster, so it uses a small motor in the back. They're like an N20 motor, I believe is what they're called. Out of Darts has used them in quite a few things and sells them on his website, along with a few other people. Adrian Kelly also supports this and has his own boards for them, which is really cool, and that's what I have in this one. So at least he supports it for the Quik anyways. I don't think they really work, well, not the whole board anyways, works for other blasters. So you kind of have to wire it up more yourself. That's what I did with this, but it's a super easy thing to do if you're, done any sort of electronical mods. But if you haven't, going with Adrian Kelly's system is pretty sweet too. It makes it super easy, and I think he has even the boards pre-wired. My version wasn't, but now I think he has them pre-wired, and there's only a few soldering things you have to do still. So that's pretty awesome. But yeah, this is a full auto blaster. You can buy different motors to get different darts per second, so that's pretty cool. I think I have 10 darts a second in both of mine, and I like that rate of fire. I'm not a huge fan of high rate of fire because a lot of times you just get runaway with that. This I actually have nice cycle control with. You can go 6 darts a second if you want something less. So that's definitely an option, but just so many options available with this. And actually now he has a version of this that uses a solenoid pusher. So that's really cool. I know of only one blaster that is using that at this point. Maybe there's more to come because I think that's pretty new. But yeah, both of these use a pusher system, kind of like the Rapid Strike does. And that's what pushes your dart into the flywheels. So really cool system that he's designed there, and really excited to see what more people do with this, because I think it's such a small thing that you can make pretty large blasters-ish, like the Kriss Vector style blaster here, or you can make smaller blasters like this, or even thinner if you wanted to go with like micro wheels. So pretty darn sweet. So let's talk about the Kriss Vector. This thing, I bought the files off of Etsy, and I believe the creator's name is Gears. I'll put all this information down in the description box where you can get the Flycore, which is actually open source, so you can do whatever you want. This is free to download and do whatever you want with, more or less. I mean, and then you can buy files like this Kriss Vector kit or the Quik kit off of Etsy. This one was designed by Old Fusion Design himself, and he also does a Mauser or a Mauser DL44, which I actually is why I have this, and I plan on putting that together at some point, hopefully. But that's another blaster that's really cool. Should be a fun build. But then we also have the Kriss Vector here that was done by Gears, so somebody different. And I have to say, this went together very smoothly. The tolerances are tight, so you need to have your printer dialed in, but if they're dialed in, everything goes together really, really well. I didn't really have any issues, just minor cleanup, which is typical on the prints. And yeah, it turned out gorgeous. Really love this blue protopasta. I think it's the winter glitter blue or something like that. Then we have the classic Vertigo gray and some orange filament that I got. I don't even remember the name of what it is, but all really nice filament. I really like all of it. I really love that color of orange. I'm gonna have to use that more, but I'll put all the filaments I use down in the description box if you're interested in, or if you like this filament and want to use it for a build. But this thing is super comfortable. It has a really cool mag release right here. And by the way, he has multiple options of mag releases. You can move this to the other side if you're left-handed, so that's really cool. He has an extended battery door if you need more space for a larger battery. So there's lots of options. You can go with this front grip or without it. You can have a front piece like this, or you can go just with a naked barrel. Like, there's quite a few options with this blaster. And then obviously you have all the options of flywheels that you could want, you know, with the Old Fusion Design system. So that's pretty darn sweet. But obviously this blaster has a full Picatinny rail on top. It is very much, in my opinion, like the Kriss Vector. Mine's a little adapted from it, but I think this is pretty darn sweet. This front grip here that kind of extends it out. It's really comfortable, really sturdy and strong. There's also Picatinny rails on the side, and you can have there's a Picatinny rail on the bottom here that this actually grips onto, so that's what's securing that grip. Like I said, we have our mag release right here, so we can do that. You could also push from this side, and this would be that you could also just do it like this and not have that paddle if you want, but it kind of allows you to get to it easier. But you can do that and it drops free, so should be really easy to do mag changes there, no problem. So that's pretty sweet. The mag well is flared slightly, so it's a little weird to get used to because it's such a deep mag well, but once you get used to it, it's not too big a deal. You can have a grip that is smooth like mine, or knurled if you want to, or I guess, I don't know if knurl's the word, but they have like a decorative pattern that looks a lot like the real steel blaster. I went with a smooth one just because I didn't know if I would like that or not. I actually did do the knurling on the front here. You can do either smooth or knurled on that, so there's a lot of options. It kind of is basically like this design. It gives you a little bit of texture to grip onto, so that's pretty sweet. This stock is very sturdy for a 3D printed blaster. I'm really surprised with how sturdy the stock is. Obviously, I printed this with quite a bit of wall thickness, I think 4 layers with a 0.6 nozzle, so, you know, pretty thick there. The stock actually extends here if you want to put, also, before I get going any further, these use heat set inserts, so everything screws into brass inserts instead of into the 3D print itself, so that's really nice. So you have brass inserts in here, so you can extend this stock further back if you so choose. So you can't extend it too much, but there is definitely a few positions that you can go with there. The battery door is right here, and I don't have a thumb screw at the moment that fits this, so I just went with a normal screw, M3 screw, but you can definitely use a thumb screw, which makes this a lot easier to get into, and it is a pretty good size battery well. I have a 1.0 graphene that's actually a pretty large 1.0 graphene. I could probably fit even a bigger battery or a bigger milliamp battery in there if I wanted to, but it does have a pretty good size battery tray as opposed to the Quik here, which is pretty limited. The battery goes in the front here, and so you kind of need a smaller battery. Also, I wired this up with an XT60 connector, but most of them, like this design, are going to need an XT30 connector. But whatever you want on this should work fine because there is quite a bit of room there for a battery. The trigger is a 2-stage trigger, so you pull halfway to rev and then all the way to fire. 2-stage trigger is pretty sweet there, and it works really well. There's enough space there, and the trigger pull isn't too long. The only thing I will say is it is a little bit of a hard trigger pull. I mean, obviously you want to use the right springs and whatnot, and sourcing the parts is actually pretty darn easy in my opinion for this blaster. So I didn't even buy any of this from somebody. I had all these parts myself, except for the thumb screw. So I will have to source that. But yeah, that's it's pretty easy to find most of this stuff on Amazon. I'll put links to what I used in this down in the description box. But like I said, this is supported by Adrian Kelly, and he sells hardware kits for the Quik anyways. I think you may need a few more screws and bits for this, but like I said, most of this stuff is pretty easy to source, including the brass inserts. So all that will be down in the description box if you want to build one of these yourself. So we're going to fire this thing in just a second, but first I want to go over kind of what's different internally, which very little is different internally between these two blasters. So the Quik has the Banned Blaster motors, the 42s, that are supposed to pair perfectly with their flywheels, but the Vector has Krakens in them, which are also very good motors by Out of Darts and quite a bit cheaper than these. So depending on your budget, you may want to go with those, but I'm curious if there's any difference performance-wise or how much there is. I know these blasters they look different, but internally, like I said, they're exactly the same. So they should get very similar performance besides those motors. So we will put them to the test and we'll see what kind of performance we're getting. Real quick, just to go over this blaster, I think I'm not gonna go over too much because this blaster's been out for a while now. I remember seeing this in war like 2 years ago, so this has been out for at least 1.5 years now. So yeah, it's a pretty cool blaster, pretty small, but I've made it a little bit bulkier than it can be. It does have the extended battery tray here because if you go with the one that's cuts off right here, it's very, very small. So you're very limited on battery size there. And obviously the flywheel size makes this thing quite a bit wider than it would be if we had micro wheels just like the Vector. But for performance purposes, I wanted those full-size flywheels, and like I said, I wanted to try out these Banned Blaster wheels, which I've been looking forward to quite a bit. I also have the FitLock holster on here, so if I want to put it on my side, I can just have a little clip and it just snaps in, magnets, pretty sweet, and pulls right out. Pretty awesome thing there, so looking forward to testing these babies out. Let's go ahead and put them over the chronograph, guys, because I know that's what you're waiting for. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with the Quik. This is the one with the Banned Blaster 42 motors, and we'll see what kind of performance we're getting. We have a 3S LiPo inside, which both have 3S LiPos. This one obviously is a little bit smaller than that one, but all in all, everything's the same. The only difference is the motors, so we'll see. I'm not sure how great, it's hard to get good chronograph readings off a full auto blaster, so I'm not sure how many readings we'll get because you'll probably shoot 3 darts and get 1 reading, but hopefully we get some readings. It's not very sunny out, so hopefully they're accurate. The life of living in the Midwest, you just never get good weather. At least it's somewhat warm out today and not raining and not insanely cold, obviously, not snowing. You can't ask for everything here. So we'll go ahead and we'll see what kind of performance we're getting. By the way, this thing has a pretty sweet voltmeter placement. I just wish it had an on-off switch. That's really the only thing that's missing on this thing. But you don't have to do this if you don't want to, so that's pretty cool too. And yeah, let's go ahead and see what we get here. Well, that was like 4 darts. 181, not bad. Did that change? I don't know. 182. 193. 181. Oh, I shot the chronograph, and hopefully 169. I don't know if that was accurate or not. Let's see if we have any darts left. No, we don't. We'll put a few more in. All right, hopefully we can get a few more readings here. 186, 175, 185. I don't think that even changed. Ah! Gotta be careful. That full auto, man, that one just gets barely in there and boom, it's gone. shooting the chronograph and shooting the tripod. All right. So pretty darn good numbers. I would say 180-ish would be about right. I'm sure this one could do a little bit more with a little more foam buildup. It has some darts run through it. They both have had about the same number of darts run through it, you know, maybe 10 mags or so. So, you know, that's quite a few darts, but probably could still build up a little more foam. But nevertheless, we'll go ahead and load up a fresh round of darts and put them through the Kriss Vector. All right, fresh darts loaded up. Let's see what we can get. These are the out of darts Krakens. That's really the only difference. I'm guessing they're going to be very similar performance. I really don't think the motors are going to make that much difference. 180, 181, 183, 156, 182, 168, 163, 184, and we're out. So most of them were in the mid 180s, 180 to 185-ish, which is similar with the Quik, so very similar performance like I expected. We'll go ahead and load up a few more and take a few more shots though. All right, let's see what we can get. 180, 163, 176, 177, 179, 167, 176, 179. That was nice. It was a single shot there. 179. So yeah, I would say 180 is about right. I'm told these things can get up to around 200 FPS, but I'm not sure if the spacing is different. This is 40 millimeter spacing, by the way. Oh, that's one thing I didn't mention with the, you can space the spacing. They have basically all the spacing options for all the flywheels. So you can do pretty much any spacing you would want to get any FPS you could imagine. So you just basically do everything with this Old Fusion Design Flycore system. And I think it will lend itself to people that really aren't in the hobby that much to try their hand at making a blaster, because basically all the hard work is done for you. The chemistry of the flywheels to the mag and the mag catch, all that stuff is done. You just have to make a, you know, a nice looking and functioning design, I guess, around that. So nevertheless, you guys, this thing is pretty darn sweet. I love both my blasters that are created around the Flycore design. And I mean, build yourself a blaster. If you're into 3D modeling, or if you want to get into it, I highly recommend trying to create a design around this Flycore. I think it's a really cool thing, and I just wanted to share it with you guys. I'm sure most of you guys are familiar with it, but if not, hopefully you enjoyed the video, and leave me a like on it if you enjoyed it. Go ahead and leave me a comment. Let me know which one of these designs is your favorite. What, if you were going to build one, which one would you choose? And as always, guys, peace out.